Hello guys, welcome to the Trading Parrot. With the SEC decision deadline this week on the spot Ethereum ETFs, and now with most applicants having submitted their amendments, including Van Eck, Fidelity, Franklin, ARK Invest, Grayscale, and Invesco Galaxy, things have completely flipped in terms of the expectations from people in terms of the approval this week. Some of them have already started listing their new tickers, including VanEck. And you can see on Lunar Crash how the sentiment of the different ETFs have flipped to 100% or over 90% positive. Millions of interactions only starting this week. And seeing yesterday that the Well alert is notifying us of another print of 1 billion USDT, this tends to come with another push higher in the price. We remain in high grid at 76. On the daily, BTC needs to hold the dot red line that you can see here on the RSI. I'm expecting to see some sort of test on the RSI. In fact, I will say support right now on the daily is between 56 to 59. So let's have a look what does that mean in terms of the reverse RSI. So if we zoom in, that coincides with this fair value gap here. So from 67.7 to 68.9. That is located slightly above our point of control in the Fibonacci golden pocket that we just broke out from. So it makes a lot of sense. It will constitute a retest of the breakout as well. On the 4-hour, the price has conquered all levels of the pivots of the CPR monthly and is currently holding support at the first level of resistance in green here. You can see that for the month of May, we have two more levels of resistance, one at 77 and one at 83K. Holding this level will be quite bullish from the point of view of CPR for continuation to the upside. This is precisely what we needed to do. If things go extremely bullish, we could see a test of 78 or 83. But if we come back here and we lose these pivots, particularly the last one here, which is 62.3, then embrace yourself for 55, 50.5, and the worst case scenario here located at 42K. So whatever you do this month, keep in mind this is the range for the month from the point of view of the CPR model. On the RSI, in the big breakout, you can see that we bounce at this level and we push higher here, making a higher high on the RSI. That made this move one without any bearish divergence, and we came back here to retest, but now we are below the level we broke out and being squashed in between that and the last level of support. That is located at 53.54, and losing 53.54 could make this retracement a little bit bigger. Let's have a look at what is 53.54. So we can go as low as 68.9, meaning that we have to close the 4-hour above this if we don't want to lose this level of important support that belongs to the whole move to the upside. Achieving that will guarantee a potential new push. It's low likely that the RSI 4-hour will print any number above the highest we've been here. My preference is that if we manage to hold the support, that we get somewhere around here at the 75. That 75 will get us to 73.5. That will constitute an all-time high. But in order to get there, I think we need to hold this level of support if we happen to visit this area. Of course, this can break out right from here and still get to 75. But coming for this support and confirming it will be a much more conservative entry. Ethereum is currently within this channel, and you can see how it's oscillating. So do not be surprised with a retest of 65 RSI. 65 RSI is located at around 3.6K. Hopefully that holds us for another push higher. You can see that the alts are weak relative to what Bitcoin is doing still. Total 3 is above the CPR monthly, but hasn't managed to get to the first level of resistance, whereas Bitcoin did. This is showing that even though we haven't broken below our levels of support on the Bitcoin dominance, Bitcoin is still taking the spotlight. I wanted also to mention that what we are seeing both on the Nasdaq and the S&P seems quite dangerous. I mean, there's nothing wrong with coming here in the CPR to these levels on the 4-hour, but this pattern here is getting quite overheated. You can see that we are starting to print lower lows with higher highs in the price. So those are divergences in the 4-hour. So at the very least, we're going to come here and retest this level of support at 72 and potentially start building a channel to the downside. Not necessarily the beginning of the end of the world, but keep in mind that we could come here for a retest of this level of resistance or come back here for the pivots, just because we have done the full range from 24 all the way to 78, and that increases the chances of coming back and doing some sort of retests, at least to the median here at 60. The story repeats just the same for the Nasdaq. The inflows continue to have volume in green, although it's starting to constrict just because we are below resistance here and people are taking it more calm. You can see that resistance here in the price, but this pattern is pretty bullish in my opinion, especially if we come for a second attempt slightly later. This double bottom here, that is quite likely if we manage to hold this 69.3. On the weekly, I remind you that we just had a bullish cross on the stochastic RSI, and my expectation was that this bounce that we are having here will define the top range of this channel to the downside. One thing that is starting to look pretty bullish is that there was resistance around June 2023, and we are doing a retest of that same level. So that's a good narrative to consider that we could get to the areas of the 70 on the weekly RSI. In terms of liquidity, you can see that we have managed to complete cleaning all the liquidity to the upside coming from fair value gaps. And now we only have to the downside with the exception of this newly introduced level at around 70. So we are going to have to use other tools to figure out where is the liquidity in the upside. And why do I care about that? Because we need to see what is the motivation for the price right now to make another push higher. And looking at CoinGlass, you can see clearly here that even if we are looking at the past 30 days, and I would have expected to see most of the levels located here below, since they are so well distributed, you don't have any big substantial level in particular to the downside. They all get to 42 million or less, whereas to the upside, some lucky bastards managed to open a short in the past few days, and those degens went so big in that short that you can see that they are more than double any of the clusters that you can see on the downside. These ones are located at 70.5 and just around 72K here. These two are big motivation for the price to come back once again and get them liquidated before it even thinks about taking anything to the downside. Just because it's very close to the price hasn't managed to drop, and it's a low-hanging fruit. What are the whales and the long-term holders doing? These people are going nuts. The Big Whale Explorer indicator is showing us that the large holders are at a ratio of 0.4, withdrawing like crazy. If this ratio was at 1, it will mean that we have an equivalent amount of withdrawals and deposits. But we are getting levels of withdrawals that are only comparable to when we started this run from 25K and 26K. This is just incredible. It's just mind-blowing to think that 72K large whale holders are accumulating as much as they did in this flat area here, but not as much as they did during the period of the bear market here. At that point, the ratio was 0.2, 0.3, and we are at 0.4, but still a lot. And if you look at the long-term holders, you can see that the curve started pointing up. I mentioned that more than a week ago when I made this video. 7 days ago, I say I got a big buy signal. It wasn't just one buy signal. In fact, I review more than 4 or 5 very high quality buy signals, and that was against my own bias. And you can see from 7 days ago into the actual explosion that we have here, we have just nailed it. If you want to see more content like this and you want to support this channel to continue making daily calls, make sure that you're subscribed to the channel, hit the notification bell, and before you even consider to close down this video, leave a comment down below. I'm going to give you an update on the alts. Make sure that you have a look at the copy trading bots. The link is in the description. And if you want to trade those alts or Bitcoin or Ethereum, make sure that you have a decent exchange. OKX is packed with features. It's my favorite exchange. So if you are lucky enough to have access to OKX from where you live, make sure that you use the link in the description. You're going to get discounts on your fees, and you might be able to claim a big cut of this 60,000 USDT price pool. If you don't have access to OKX, then you could consider using BingX. It's a great exchange, and you do not require to use KYC to have access to perpetuals and leverage. It also offers 6.2k USDT in rewards. All links are in the description. So as we always do, whenever we talk about the alts, we start looking at the Ethereum BTC pair, and then we look at the dominance. Those things are critical to understand where we are. Make sure that you watch my video from yesterday. I cover extensively what's going on with this pair. I'm just going to give you a very short update. I mentioned that we need the price of ETH BTC to break above this trend line. Everything is looking fantastic from the point of view of the momentum. We nailed this call of a bounce and a pivot right at this level of resistance from 2021. And my only concern left is that at the same time in 2019, right after having the same rejections in January and in February of 2019, we have one more in May, but that time things were very different in terms of the RSI. If we put the line like this, we will have already broken out in December, then multiple retests, but the actual real breakout was if we put the line like this, and that occurred just in October. So if we were to experience something very similar here, that will mean that the line needs to be like that. And I have to say, I find that difficult to believe. I prefer the idea of the momentum right now shooting back up. But of course, if by the end of the week we get a rejection on the ETF, and then at the very least we are going to come back to our trend line of support. But in the worst case scenario, if we repeat what happened in 2021, embrace yourself for a potential 50% drop in the Ethereum BTC pair. That's what the past performance says. The Altcoin season index continues to test support here at 37. It's been more than a month at this range. On the 4-hour, the average is now 59. Yesterday, it was at around 70. The Bitcoin dominance created a massive red engulfing candle right after building a double top and breaking here the structure. But this is a weekly chart, so this is just a work in progress. This might as well push back and make still a higher high, leaving just a week here, turning everything into something very bullish. So we must wait until Sunday to count victory on this breakdown. If we break down, that's good for alts. If we hold here, that's good for Bitcoin, but not for the alts. Very quick update on the alts. BTT hasn't done much. Floki has done quite great progress from our entry here. Is already almost hitting the second level of take profit. MNT has also done great progress, reaching now the first level of resistance. KasPA as well. You can see that the momentum keeps doing higher highs and higher lows. CHR, although it has progressed, is starting to curve down and doing a double top here. So careful with this resistance at 39.36. Near, we say that we were not going to take the deal when it's at these highs, but we wanted to come back here and test the support. Right now, the momentum seems to have tested the support. So that is the actual entry. STX hasn't moved that much, neither VARA. Solana almost hit the full target. We say that we wanted R to test support for the actual entry, and we seem to be in the process of testing the support right above these tops, so that could be the golden entry as long as this ends up in a green candle. BCH hasn't done much. On Maker, we are waiting for this RSI to retest, so our entry should be somewhere slightly lower than that with a stop loss here, and our first conservative target is 33.55, followed by 37.80, 41.01 for the most aggressive traders. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.